Welcome, fellow watch lovers. Today we're going to look at the AddiesDive Submariner Homage, the quartz variety, and we have a few different colorways to look at. First, we're going to just dive into a couple different things here. Note right off the bat that the bracelets here, I've actually adjusted them. They originally come with this type of strap with a brushed outer links and the polished center link. And I personally don't think that that looks very appealing on a sports watch. I really like matte finishes for the bracelets. And taking a tip from a video from Mr. Budget Watch, which is his channel, which I'll link in the description, I used Scotch-Brite pads to make these bracelets matte in the center link. I personally think it looks much better this way, but of course leave that judgment to your personal tastes. The process is simple, and these are the bracelets that came with the watch. I just happened to make them brush to make it more in line with my taste. First, we'll talk about the specifications of the watch. We have a ceramic bezel insert. We have mineral crystal glass, so this is not a sapphire crystal, and you can imagine that that is to be expected at this price point, which these hover around the $40 range in US currency. It does have sunburst dial finish on the Hulk green and green combo, on kind of the Smurf combo. The black doesn't have as much of a sunray. It's glossy, but it's it's not really a matte dial necessarily, but it doesn't have a sunburst finish. And then here is a kind of Starbucks or Kermit variation, and same deal with the black dial on these. It does have a Cyclops. The magnifier does not magnify very much. This particular one is somewhat poorly aligned. This one is a little bit better aligned. It does have some AR coating, so it gets rid of reflections. But if you're looking for a perfectly centered, large magnification on the date window, this doesn't quite have that. We do have brushing on the top of the lugs, polishing on the sides, both on the case and the bracelet. We have this press stainless steel metal clasp, which I'd say these are pretty comfortable personally, but not of the quality you get on a higher end piece. It's kind of typical of a lower end range, but nothing wrong with it. It snaps together well. It has fairly satisfying engagement to it. It just isn't a milled clasp like you might hope for on a higher end piece. These do have a rated claim of 200 meters of water resistance, which is very impressive for a watch of this type in this price range. It has a screw down crown. The case back on these is kind of that typical Rolex Submariner style with the little coin edge. I have not tried to open one of these up yet, so I can't really speak to that. I believe it has a Miyota, they claim it has a Miyota quartz movement, and I will say it certainly keeps accurate time, that's for sure. So they have a unidirectional rotating bezels. Now, three of these feel very similar. They have just a little bit of back play, but not much. They have good satisfying clicks, maybe slightly on the hard to turn side, but not substantially so. This one in particular is different in that it has quite a bit of back play and much easier to rotate. But it does have lateral side to side play as well as the back play. And so out of the four that I have, this is the only one that feels different and also kind of feels like it has lower quality control. The others feel and respond, well, and you can hear it has nice, has clicks to it. I would say maybe it's a little bit tight, but it feels pretty good when you're trying to set something accurately. Now, this particular one, it did not come with the strap. I just took the strap off and put on a third-party strap. I think these work quite well replacing straps and things like that, because they're just these types of watches are just kind of strap monsters. Now, getting into some of the highlights of the watch, it has a fully loomed bezel insert, and the loom is very, very good, as well as the indices and the hands are also well loomed. At this price point, shockingly good loom, both on the bezel insert and the hands and indices. So no complaints there. In fact, I wish that all of my Pagani designs had similar quality and level of loom. And so that's kind of a key selling point on these at this price range for sure. The bracelets are, a little jangly, and have a bit of movement to them. You can see here on this one in particular, there's kind of a lot of play there. So if that's a concern to you, that's another thing to keep in mind. This one isn't maybe quite as bad, but it still has quite a bit of play to it. So these are kind of 40 millimeter case sub homages. We have 20 millimeters on the bracelet for replacing straps. The case thickness, not including the Cyclops, is 13.62, and it feels pretty good. Get your side profile in here. Obviously, with these kinds of designs, they work well on the wrist. They feel well designed. You can get into the weight of the pieces. So these are adjusted for my 7.5-inch wrist. And for comparison's sake, put the one that I have on a NATO strap here as well, to get you an idea of what the piece looks like versus the bracelet. So if you're okay with a quartz piece, I think these are absolutely fantastic value for the money. Having that kind of loom, having the water resistance that's there, just having the general reliability of the quartz movement, so a nice grab and go piece. Of course, don't have to worry about scratching up the ceramic bezel, but yes, because of the mineral crystal, you could potentially run into scratches there. So in terms of a beater watch, I guess it's a little bit of a mixed bag, because it is cheap. It's got great water resistance. Just make sure you're not getting somewhere where you're going to potentially scratch it up with a material that's harder than mineral crystal. But just fantastic value for the money, in my opinion. And I can't think of anything that would really beat it at this $40 price point. Now remember that I did change some work to get the bracelet the way that I wanted it in terms of a matte finish, so bear that in mind. I hope you found the review helpful. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content.